Switch up my hand. We're just gonna be like same like this though. He's gonna be carrying this. Oh, that's like what he got rifle for. The U.S. doesn't say. Sorry, right here. Do we put colors on? See, on the right shoulder. Who's that? Collins. Collins. Color guard. Falling. Alright. Alright.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. We start with roll call. Cedric?
Cedric Denard, Todd Beamer High School.
Mildred Olay, District 3.
Hiroshi Eto, Director, District 5.
Claire Wilson, Director, District 2.
Jeffrey McAnalloy, Director, District 1.
Carol Gregory, Director, District 4.
Tammy Campbell, Superintendent.
Michaela Reedy, Career Academy at Truman.
Great. Now if you all please rise for the presentation of the colors by Federal Way High School, JROTC. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. At this time, I'd entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I move that the Board of Education approve the meeting agenda of December 12th, 2017 as submitted.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I now entertain a motion for the approval of the required approvals agenda.
I move that the Board of Education approve the required approvals agenda of December 12, 2017 as submitted.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now I'd like to call for Judge Larson to administer the oath of office for the two of us that were voted back in for the next 4 years.
It's been 10 years since I left the school board, and I almost voted on that last. Raise your hand if you would. Repeat after me. I, Jeffrey McAnally.
I, Jeffrey McAnally,
Do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Washington,
the Constitution of the State of Washington,
promote the interests of public education,
promote the interests of public education,
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
of Director District Number 1
of Director District Number 1
of the Federal Way Public School District,
of the Federal Way Public School District,
Number 210, King County,
Number 210, King County,
State of Washington,
State of Washington,
as prescribed by law,
as prescribed by law,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Repeat after me if you would. I, Carol Gregory,
I, Carol Gregory,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Washington,
the Constitution of the State of Washington,
promote the interests of public education,
promote the interests of public education,
and faithfully and impartially discharge
and faithfully and impartially discharge
the duties of Director District Number 4
the duties of Director District Number 4
of the Federal Way Public School District,
of the Federal Way Public School District,
Number 210, King County,
Number 210, King County,
State of Washington,
State of Washington,
as prescribed by law,
as prescribed by law,
to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Larson. As always, we appreciate your support.
Thank you.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is board elections. And so at this time, I would entertain motions for the position of president. And I would actually like to nominate Claire Wilson. Do I hear a second to the nomination?
I will second that nomination.
Do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Are there any other nominations for president? Are there any other nominations for president? Are there any other nominations for president? So at this time, I would call for a vote. All in favor of Claire Wilson for president, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Director McAnally. I appreciate all you've done as president, and I know our other board directors do as well. It's not always a glamorous job to be the voice, and there's a lot of stuff that goes behind it and a lot of time that you put into it. So I want to thank you for that, and I know our community does as well. So thanks so much.
And I'd like to
Look
echo,
forward to another 4 years.
I'd like to echo that as well, that board superintendent partnership is critical, and the president is an important part of that. And I want to thank you, President McAnally, for your support over the last few years. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll continue on with the nominations, and I will apologize in advance. The good part is we only do this once a year, so sometimes you don't get it right the first time, so here we go. So as the newly elected president, I'd like to ask if there are any nominations for vice president. Are there?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I nominate Hiroshi Eto.
Is there a second to that motion? Are there any nominations for vice president?
Madam Chair, I would like to nominate Mr. McAnally for vice.
Director McAnally?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second to that nomination?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. I'd like to call for a roll call vote, starting with Director Ali. Oh, wait, no, I will
One more
Yeah.
time. Ask for it one more time.
ask for,
Are there any further nominations?
okay, sorry. I apologize, I told you. Are there any further nominations for vice president? Okay. It has been moved and seconded. I would like to call for a vote. All those in favor of Jeffrey McAnally as vice president, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Director McAnally is our new vice president.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call for nominations next for legislative representative. Are there any nominations for legislative representatives? Excuse me.
Madam Chair, I nominate Director Ali.
Director Ali, would you accept the nomination?
I am so sorry. I feel that I am so sorry to decline, but I am so new, I don't know whether I would be your best representative, and I do appreciate it. I will work hard with whomever is chosen.
Are there any nominations for legislative representative?
I will nominate Director Carol Gregory.
Carol, will you accept the nomination?
I will accept it for the temporary.
Has it been, I'm looking for a second to the nomination for legislative representative. Will you second? I'll second the nomination for legislative representative for Director Gregory. It's been moved and it's been seconded. Director Gregory has accepted the nomination. I'd like to call for a roll call vote
Got to ask one more time.
one more time. Any other nominations for legislative representative? One last time. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Director Gregory for legislative representative. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Director Gregory is our legislative representative for WASDA, which is the Washington State School Directors Association, and will be a liaison between the board and the legislative assembly that works on behalf of the 295 school districts across the state of Washington. So thank you all. Next thing we need to do is really just technicality, but that is to, I'd like to ask for a motion on the reaffirmation of policies. One of the things we do every year, I think, as we come on board as a board of directors is to really reaffirm that we are aware of and know that we are in full force monitoring and making sure and assuring the review and the revisions of all the policies. So I would be looking for a motion on reaffirmation of policies at this time.
I move that all policies adopted and regulations are in full force and in effect as they are now constituted by all subjects to individual review and revision as the need arises.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We are going to move on to Because of You awards. All right?
So at this time, I'd like to invite Olivia Chung, one representative from the Superintendent's Advisory. As a reminder, the Because of You awards are granted monthly. These are generated from scholar recommendations from their school. And I believe this is a leftover from the last board meeting because some of our recipients weren't able to make it. So this is still the November Because of You recipients. Is that right, Olivia?
Yes.
Okay. So take it away, Olivia.
Okay. We would like to call Glenn Jenkins, 5th grade teacher at Rainier View Elementary School, forward to be recognized. He was nominated by multiple scholars, including Cody Nelson, Nee Tran, Albert Lewis, Isabel Saray, Destiny Soma, Lily Da, Isaiah Pelu, and Masal Mohammed. The common theme in all of the nominations was that Mr. Jenkins has a great sense of humor. One scholar shared that when the class is stressed about testing, Mr. Jenkins will crack a joke to help ease the tension. In addition to his sense of humor, his scholars say that he ensures they are learning to their fullest potential. Because of you, scholars enjoy learning. Next, we would like to call Michelle Cole, PE teacher at Kylo Middle School, forward to be recognized. She was nominated by Jennifer Durapena. Jennifer shared that since meeting Miss Cole in September, Miss Cole has become her mentor and made her feel safe in a new school. Miss Cole encourages her scholars to strive for improvement. When Jennifer was feeling anxious about competing in the final cross-country meet, she turned to Miss Cole for guidance. Miss Cole told her, "I don't care if we win. All I care about is that we have fun and improve our times. Because of you, scholar athletes like Jennifer are empowered to compete." Congratulations to those who were nominated.
All right, next is good news announcements. So in November, Todd Beamer High School, AJ Chopra finished third in the 4A state cross-country meet. AJ, please come forward to be recognized. AJ completed the 5-kilometer course in 15 minutes, 15.8 seconds, setting a Todd Beamer all-time and state tournament record. Participation in extracurricular activities is in direct support of Strategic Plan Goal 3, active learners, engaged, empowered critical thinkers. Congratulations. AJ, we are all so proud of you.
Family engagement is very important to the success of scholars at Olympic View Elementary. We would like to recognize 4 volunteers who support our scholars to become thriving, confident, responsible individuals. Goal 2 of our district's strategic plan. These incredible parents and community members have developed a positive reward system with our scholars at the Pavilion bus stop, and it has been a huge success. When I call your name, you've already come forward. Maria Lozana, Francesco Martinez, Rocio Chavez, Chavez, sorry. Fabrica Garcia. Every morning, our volunteers greet each scholar as they arrive to take the bus to school. Each scholar holds a 3x5 note card and receives a stamp when they line up and show respect for themselves, their peers, and the bus drivers. School can't do it alone, and family and community engagement supports Pillar 2 of our strategic plan. Thank all of you for your work to make a difference every day for our scholars.
Thomas Jefferson and Todd Beamer High Schools have been named co-champions and received the 2017-18 Fall Sportsmanship Award for the Olympic Division in the North Puget Sound League. Efforts such as this are in support of Strategic Plan Goal 3, active learners, engaged, empowered critical thinkers. I'd like to call the principals and athletic directors forward to be recognized on behalf of their schools and sports teams. When I call your name, please come forward to be recognized. For Todd Beamer, Anali Weatherhead, Principal, Eric Marshall, Principal, and Tim Kuykendall, Athletic Director. For Thomas Jefferson, Paul Nichols, Assistant Principal, and Mike Grady, Athletic Director. Each school was evaluated on the following categories and sports: administration, boys and girls cross country, football, boys and girls golf, girls soccer, girls swim and dive, boys tennis, volleyball. We are so proud of our athletic staff and scholar athletes that portrayed sportsmanship and gained the respect of fellow schools in the North Puget Sound League. Way to go. That's it.
All right, we're going to get things going with the legislative liaison update, and Director McAnally will be giving the report this time, and then we'll move it on next month.
So I sound like a broken record, but unfortunately, the Senate continues to hold our capital budget at bay. And, you know, there's not much else we can do at this point. It's going to go into January, and probably not until the new legislative session starts, but it should be something that happens immediately. The next item, I'd like to encourage all of my fellow board members to consider going to the legislative conference, which is January 28th and 29th. Down in Olympia. We are actually going to do a breakfast. We're trying something different with 5 districts in the South King County area. We will actually be doing a breakfast instead of going to the individual meetings, 15-minute meetings. All the legislators will come to us in an hour-and-a-half period on that Monday morning from 7 to 8:30 at the Red Lion where we're staying. So we're trying this to see if it will work and we get better participation. Senator Kaiser cannot attend, so that meeting will happen at a different time, but I would encourage all of you to consider going and being a part. I think when we go as a slated, all of us together, it just shows our commitment to making sure that we get the things done in the legislature that are necessary for our district. And that's it for my report.
Thank you. Let's start with school reports, and I'm going to start to my left. Cedric.
Schools have been getting into the holiday spirit as they're anticipating the winter break. However, some students are in a frenzy trying to raise their grades before the semester ends in January. In some schools, students feel that some of the rules are not being enforced enough. But on a different note, students are getting pumped up for sports with wrestling, basketball, gymnastics, bowling in full swing. Also, schools are holding drives and collecting food, toys, and hygienic products for people who are less fortunate. Also, schools are having pep assemblies in order to keep their scholars motivated. Thank you.
Thank you. Michaela.
The one thing I wanted to solely focus my update around is this construct of giving. One thing that caught my attention and astonished me was the amount of giving and AMD shown through our school district. Throughout the year, I've heard of clubs participating in community service projects, but it seems to have only accentuated around the holiday times. The holidays bring about this sense of joy and happiness, but is often a crucial time for many. Our scholars have most definitely noticed that need and have taken necessary actions to help out in their community. I wanted to take a moment to recognize some schools and their little act of kindness because I truly believe that all the little things we do in our community make a difference. Beginning off with Federal Way High School, their Key Club has been packing bags of food to give to families in need over Thanksgiving break and have given over 60 baskets away. Following that, at Kylo Middle School, they have started their own giving tree, per se, where the scholars can put supplies in this bush for others, and whomever may need it can grab it right out of the tree. Next, Sacagawea is holding a sock drive to give to the homeless. And finally, Thomas Jefferson has not only started to make fleece blankets for the homeless, but Key Club has created 70 breakfast bags for the BAG program, also known as Bridging a Gap, which is a program that provides low-income families with meals over the weekend. And to top it off, they are currently brainstorming ideas to come up with the school-wide project to support families that can't afford toys this holiday season. Scholars may think they're just one drop in the ocean, but look at the ripple effect one drop can make. Thank you.
I just want to add, it's important to note that both of these scholars get updates from scholars at every one of our middle and high schools. They send a weekly report into the group on Friday. They read what's happening at every school, and then they create these summary reports. And this is why we feel really solid about our model. It's not just 2 scholars from 2 of our sites. They actually are getting input from every single school and reading those reports every week. So I think that's an important part of what's unique about our representatives on the board here in Federal Way.
All right, thank you. Superintendent, comments?
So just a couple of things. Had a really powerful night of chess with the superintendent at the district office. We had over 40 scholars who participated in that. And then I also did the event at Family Life Community Church where I was modeling and coaching scholars on chess, only to find out that the real person who was portrayed in The Queen of Kotway was going to be there. And so she was there, and I realized I needed to step back and let her do a lot of that coaching because I'm a rookie in all of this. The scholars were so impressed. Family Life has for the last 4 years been serving our scholars who may need additional support. Every week, they pick up between 40 and 50 scholars on buses and bring them to the church to do things like after-school extended day opportunities. Pastor Dan Larson and his wife have really done a really good job of that. And so this was a way to provide more enrichment and services for our scholars there. I also was really impressed with scholars who participated in the architect selection. We had some pretty impressive scholars from TJ who sat and listened to architects present why they should be the architect firm selected to rebuild, modernize each of the schools. And to hear those young people ask the questions that they asked was really impressive. So as we get closer to recommendations to the board, we'll make sure those scholars come to the board to share with you why they, along with staff and community members who were on these panels, selected the firms that they selected. And we also made sure, even for elementary schools, we had scholars from elementary participating as well. I also met today with Leanne Geyer, the mayor of Pacific, along with another gentleman named Monty, and we're brainstorming ideas around how to increase access to the trades for our scholars. And I won't go into details about what this may look like in terms of the bond. There will be more information coming soon. But one of the short-term things that we're doing, we're going to have representatives from the trades at our STEM Expo. So it's going to be STEM in the trades and really showcase those careers that our scholars can take advantage of. And the last thing that we're working on right now, we're in conversations with some of our staff as well as community leaders on how we can have district math clubs at every one of our elementary schools and our middle schools as enrichment after school. TJ has a very robust program, and Mr. Nichols, who's sitting in the audience right now, is working with us to get parent volunteers to help. But for the 18-19 school year, our goal is to have math clubs at every one of our elementary schools as a result of this planning that's happening right now. Those are all of my comments.
Thank you, Superintendent Campbell. Moving on to school board comments, Director Gregory, you want to start us off?
Just a couple things. One, I want to congratulate Jeffrey on his 2 years as chair of the board. We've done a lot, come a long way, and I appreciate the leadership he's provided, along with Claire Wilson, who's been our vice president. And there was something else which I have promptly forgotten, but there is one thing also I wanted to add. Are we getting updates on federal legislation and how this budget, I've been trying to find information, and
I get some through the ESD, certainly, that I can certainly pass your way. I will be, on Friday, I will get an update there, and I'll make sure that I forwarded it to you in the way that I've shared it with Director Wilson and Director McInerney.
yeah, it might be good if we all got it. Thanks.
Absolutely. And I've forwarded emails to the board whenever I've gotten what I call summary reports, and I'll continue to do so.
And I will continue to serve in the FRN role, so there are some things coming forward. I will go back to DC the end of January. So if there's anything additional, I will bring that forward. And I am going to work as the 9th congressional position to make sure that we are meeting quarterly with our congressman when he's back in state.
So the FRN role is what?
Federal Relations Network.
For?
It's the same as the legislative at the state level, but it's happening at the federal level.
Yeah, I understand that, but is that for this board or for, how is that decided?
Anybody can go to FRN.
Okay.
Director McAnally.
Thank you, President Wilson. So Cedric and Michaela, I just want to thank you for your time and all your efforts, that I know it takes additional time and effort to be here, and we appreciate you kind of trudging along and doing, you have no direction or guidance from anywhere, and I just want to appreciate. And Michaela, I just really want to thank you for talking about what we're doing district-wide at each school from a giving perspective. To take that as a piece during this time when we have several of our students that are homeless and struggling, and I just appreciate you making sure that you look at all scholars and all things district-wide of what we're doing to take care of those in our community. So thank you. And I went to the regional legislative meeting this morning. Governor Inslee spoke about some of the things that he was successful with and things that he looks forward to that's coming down for the next year. There were representatives and senators there, and he acknowledged some of them for the work they've done around transportation and McCleary. I don't know that I completely agree that McCleary is done. I think we still have some gaps and some tuning that needs to be done with that, and further work that needs to happen to make sure that things truly are fairly divided as we look at each district across the state. We did a school visit today at Mark Twain as well. It was nice to walk through. I always enjoy looking at those and looking for our must-see things that we're expecting out of each one of our classrooms, and just seeing that it's starting to happen, and those learning to targets and success criteria that are out there to make sure that our scholars are aware in what they're doing and where they can to be successful in their K-12 process. And finally, I met with the Executive Director, Tim Garshaw. I will serve the next 2 years on the WASDA board. And so I met with him to understand what he's done over the last 14 months, and as we move forward in that role with him, it was a nice bringing update to bring me up to speed and to onboard me onto the board for WASDA. Thank you.
Director Eto.
Well, we had a very good year with the closeout of the bond. And so given that this is the last meeting of this year, I just want to take the time to wish everybody a wonderful Christmas holiday and a very happy New Year.
Thanks. Director Ali.
Thank you. I just want to say that it is such a privilege for me to serve with the other members of this board, and also to have 2 students so that they keep us in touch very closely every meeting time. I have been on a learning curve, a steep learning curve, reading as much as I can. I've met with the superintendent, and the chair has graciously provided me with time for the most mundane questions that I may have, and soon I will be up to speed. My school visits will not begin until January, so I'm looking forward to being even closer to what we're really all about. So I too want to wish you a wonderful holiday, and we'll see you in January.
Thank you. I had a couple school visits, and I just wanted to highlight I was at both Star Lake and at Totem Middle School. And at Star Lake was in a full-day kindergarten classroom with a first-year teacher who was singing the praises of learning targets and success criteria so much the kids were just psyched when she said, like, who wants to know the next learning target? And they're like, we do. Kids were excited about it, and she made it a great thing. And to walk in there and see a first-year teacher have kids in her grasp like that was incredibly exciting. And then you move up to 5th grade and wonder what you're going to see when you walk into a math class. And learning targets were there, but what this particular teacher had them do was to turn and talk and determine for themselves what their success criteria would be. So traditionally, teachers have provided the success criteria. This is what success will look like. And in this particular class, it was very evident that on a daily basis, the turn and talk was, this is what success would look like for me. And to see that system-wide and to see that in classrooms as you walk through really shows that there's learning happening in the classrooms. And that's pretty darn exciting. I will also say I wanted to do some high fives. And first thing I want to say is I want to thank Superintendent Campbell and the members of the board. We've been on now as a group, and Director Ali is new, but there's quite a bit to celebrate, and I think sometimes we get stuck in what we haven't done yet or what there's still to be done, and forget sometimes about the great things that have happened. And so my high fives are this. One is we had a first 100-day entry plan. I've been on the board 6 years, 3 superintendents, and didn't ever had an entry plan to see. So that's a 5 for me, a first. We had an inclusive, I'm spelling 5, an inclusive strategic planning process that is now fully, I would say, integrated and infused throughout our district and also our community, and that any organization or anyone that has a touch with schools can tell you what our plan is and what our goals are. We've had a vibrant curriculum adoption process, and that is a curriculum that is both guaranteed, which means it's research-based, but also viable, meaning it's reasonably done within a year, a scope of time, so that scholars can be expected that they'll see some success for themselves in a year. Oftentimes, if it doesn't happen, you don't see success for a period of time. Exceptional outcome on the $450 million bond, and we were able in an off year and in a special election year to get a 60% plus supermajority, which is unheard of, and we were one of 3 bonds in the state that passed, and so want to thank all of the staff and the school district for their work, as well as our community members. And then the last thing would be the S, and that would be stunning increase in graduation rates, where for 2017 we are up to 83.1%, which is up 3% from last year. And if you look at that and think about the 23,000 students that we're serving, those are things that we should be celebrating. And I think success breeds success, and the more you talk about it and the more you show the hard work that's happening, the more people understand what improvement looks like over time and are more willing to support you in everything that you do. So I just really am grateful to be part of this group and thankful for the leadership the board has shown and the support they've given Superintendent Campbell in doing the work that she's doing. So thank you. So ends 1. Oh, there is, I skipped, see, I told you I was going to do this, public comment, and I don't see any blue forms. But if you do have public comment, there's a blue form in the back if you want to quickly fill it out, Ms. Betty, and pass it up front. We'll do one more thing, and then we'll pull you in when you're ready, okay? Ends 1, and we have a board response that President McAnally has written up, and I'm going to pass it over to him because under his role as president, he wrote that report out. So.
Great, thank you. Do we put it up? Do we display it or not? No? Okay, all right, got it. So in your package, you'll see that I have typed the single voice document. Looks like this, Mildred. And so this is my response back to Dr. Campbell and her team. And just wondered if there's any questions.
We need to take action.
And I'll let you do that. I'll let you lead him. So since this is not up there, I'll just kind of read through it. Let's do that. So I did mark this as based upon information provided. The board finds the superintendent has reasonably interpreted the provisions of the relevant study, and the district is making reasonable progress towards achieving the desired results called for in the relevant policy. The board commends the superintendent for exemplary performance in the following areas. Proposed interpretation aligned to the board's policy statement. The proposed interpretation, key cognitive strategies, key content, academic behaviors, and contextual skills and awareness continues to set a strong framework for viewing the board's sub-end 1 policy statement. The move to presentations by the learning improvement officers by their area is working towards further alignment with the entire district and should continue to strengthen alignment through the strategic plan and related leverage strategies. Strategies like ongoing monitoring of credit alignment, focusing monitoring of college-bound rates, and other graduation assurances work is beginning to pay off. Under rational, clear, and aligned to the board's policy statement, the rational research that informs the interpretation identifies specifically the arrays of data required to inform the district of progress towards seeing sub-end 1. Students' course completion and success achievements and attainment through the PK-12 post-secondary education are all measures of progress that align to the sub-end 1 policy statement. 2017 data indicates an increase in outcomes in most strategic plan metrics within Goal 5. And under amount of achievement reported enough to be considered reasonable growth, 2017 graduation increases 83.1%, up 3% from the previous year, shows solid alignment and growth for our scholars in the right trajectory path that is considered overall reasonable growth. additional increases in the percent of ninth grade scholars on track, college-bound scholarships, and FAFSA signups all illustrates the strides being made across all high schools. While there are still increases within while there were increase within subgroups, there is more work to be done, especially in ELL and special education. The increase in Area 2 is an area the board will continue to watch in hopes that there is more than just a one-year increase in success in the special education subgroup. And then I took and pulled out what the measures of progress showed that was given to us both in the work study and at the board meeting 2 weeks ago. And that is what I presented. Back to you, President Wilson.
Any questions for President McAnally? Can I have a motion to accept the monitor and response document for BSR 5 sub E1?
So I move that the sub-N1 each scholar graduation and advancement, that the Board of Education approve the sub-N1s each scholar graduation and advancement is in compliance.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Any discussion?
Oh, any discussion? All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
No problem. You're good. Hang in there.
Right, okay. Next thing is a motion. Let's see, just a second. Let me find my paper. I'm looking for, for a motion on the FWA collective bargaining agreement. It's the bottom green. You got it? Thank you.
I move that the Board of Education approve the collective bargaining agreement between the Federal Way Education Association representing Federal Way Public School coaches and Federal Way Public Schools 210 effective September 1, 2017 through August 31, 2020 as presented.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, Mildred seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next thing up is the resolution 2017-16, a new in lieu replacement option for Thomas Jefferson High School. Could I have someone volunteer to read the resolution?
And I'll just give a brief reason
Okay.
as to why we need, these are the parts of these technical pieces so that we can get SCAP funds for Thomas Jefferson. That's basically what this allows us to do. SCAP is School Construction Assistance Program. It's the funding that we get that complements the money that's in the bond. So what's at stake could be close to, for all the schools, close to $100 million. So this resolution is a part of the steps of us making sure Thomas Jefferson is a part of
Yeah,
that.
so if we did it as replacement, SCAP funds would not come forward. for
Right.
The portion that we would use, right?
Correct. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read. It's resolution number 2017-16, new in lieu replacement option for Thomas Jefferson High School. Whereas Federal Way School District number 210 has undertaken a project to replace Thomas Jefferson High School, and whereas Federal Way Public Schools voters approved a bond measure to secure local funds for this project, and whereas both local and state funds will be used for this project, and whereas the existing Thomas Jefferson High School building is eligible to replace or modernize 172,210 square feet according to current state inventories. Whereas it is required for Federal Way Public Schools to certify per WAC 392-347-042 that the existing Thomas Jefferson High School to be replaced will not be used for permanent instructional purposes after completion, and that the facility or space will be ineligible for any future state funding assistance thereafter. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to WAC 392-347-042, Thomas Jefferson High School will be replaced by new facilities, will be removed from state inventories, will not be used for district instructional purposes, and will be ineligible for any future state funding assistance after the Thomas Jefferson High School project is completed. adopted by the Board of Directors of the Federal Way School District Number 201, King County, Washington, in a regular meeting thereof held on the 12th day of December 2017. Is there a second to the resolution motion?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution passes. Thank you. And I think we're ready to be adjourned. Thank you so much.
There is a form that should have been in the packet of signs
Right
that
here.
I forgot. It's one of this.
It's a contract.
So every board member.
That's the
make sure knows
coach's
it.
contract.
It is. It should have been in that stack and it was stuck. I didn't realize it.
I wasn't here.
So Jeffrey, I'm going to do this because you signed the other one. Okay. I don't want to confuse people.
Claire,
A public
remember Betty wanted to make a comment.
Ms. Betty Taylor, come up to the podium. I'm a little disheveled this evening, and you filled out a form for public comment, and I apologize. And you want to give us some public comment right now?
Yeah,
Because we're all sitting here and we want to know what you have to say.
okay.
The time is yours. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay, that's okay. Good evening, citizens, good evening, school board members. As I was listening to the reports, and I heard about the happenings in the Federal Way School District and how you all get access to those reports. And I just want to add something to one of the reports that I heard. I heard you all talking about the different schools and how different things are going on in the different schools. Well, I've been at Totem Junior High, Totem Middle School for the last 2 weeks. And you all, a lot of you all are familiar with the LAY project and how it works. And so I was talking to this one teacher, and we got to talking about the LAY project. And so she began to ask me questions about the LAY project and how it works and how do I get my supplies and what do you do and how do you get the tubing, and she was really interested. So then she thought about, we were talking about how can Totem Junior High, how can we connect the dots between Totem Middle School and the LAY project. And so the teacher came up with a solution. She said that there was a group at the school in the drama department that does public service work and stuff. And so he suggested that we do a project, you know, the LAY project as a service project with the youth. Okay, so I had to put stuff together real quick and in a hurry. And a lot of you all know that my administrative assistant, who is Jerry Lynn, she works in the mayor's office. She does a lot of my paperwork and stuff. And so we made a flyer, and I did post the flyer on Facebook and stuff. Thank you so much, Claire, for sharing that. Thank you. So anyway, and then I did hand out some flyers to different people within the school district, but I would just like to read it. When you all came in this building up here, did you guys see that tree over there? That tree is a giving tree. The gifts on that tree were, along with the lays, are going to Avalon Nursing Home to the Forgotten Seniors. So this is what the LAY project is doing as a project. And let me read the flyer to you. It says, Totem Thunderbirds Middle School, in partnering with the LAY project, provide lays to the Avalon Care Center. So Totem is partnering with the LAY project to provide lays to the Avalon Nursing Home Care Center, which is basically on First Avenue, right across the street from Virginia Mason. The date is Wednesday, which is tomorrow. The time is 10:45 to 11:30 a.m. The location will be in the drama classroom. And basically, my goal is that the youth can get something from putting the lays together. They can just feel you know, the impact and know exactly that they're doing a service because the lays are going to go to a good place. And so that's all I have to say. That's my report.
Well, I want to thank you, number one, and for folks that don't know, if you don't know the Lay Project is Betty Taylor, and Betty Taylor is the Lay Project, and Betty's been doing the Lay Project for homeless for quite a while and collecting goods, and whether it's hygiene, soap, toothbrushes, toothpaste, shampoo, razors, anything you can think of, and putting them together, and I know has worked at a number of our schools over the last couple of years to really make sure that people that need support and need help that don't always have a place to go and someone to ask have what they need. And I know when we did the small house project, Lay for the Homeless was part of that and went with a home that was up in Othello. So we appreciate all the work that you're doing and what you do to bring the community to our scholars and to show them what it means to be a steward and to reach up and to reach out. So thank you so much. And if anyone's interested, touch base with Betty about how you can get involved or donate, right? Awesome. Thank you so much. Awesome.
The contracts.
I don't know.
Do we keep these? Are we keeping these?
No, they go to the.
Okay, okay, okay.
Got this other stuff.
You did because I wasn't here. Should I find it?
No.
Okay, I thought not. Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Okay, thank you, babe.
Now, and I can.
Oh.
Oh, she here?
I take
Before she
everything.
goes, okay, I'm coming down.
Okay.
Betty, here's some money for the Lays.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Take it. Take it and run.
Hey, here.
Nice to see you. I thought, good. Your face hasn't been hiding. But you know, you guys are see on Facebook.
Okay, you can, absolutely.
And